Is there a motion to approve the minutes of July 27th, 2016 Village Board meeting?
So moved. I'll second.
So that's Trustee Varian and Trustee Sweet. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from August 10th, 2016 Village Board meeting?
So moved.
Trustee Varian,
I'll second.
Trustee Sweet. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of July 24th, 2016 through August 25th, 2016?
I so move.
Trustee Sweet.
I'll second.
Trustee Trokey. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, Glen, please call the roll.
Trustee Sways,
Aye.
Trustee Brand,
Aye.
Trustee Weeds,
Aye.
Please call the mayor as well.
Mario Pitch.
Reports and communications from the mayor and other offices. Mayor's report, we'll start off there if it's all right. The community meeting room is now available for rental. Homer Glen non-for-profit organizations and community groups are now able to reserve the community meeting room at the Village Hall. So please visit www.homerglenil.org or call 301-0632 for more information. Upcoming open house for Heritage Park. As you know, the Village Board is working with planning resources to develop a master park development for the Heritage Park. Public input is a crucial part of this project. An open house is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, September 20th at 7 p.m. in the Village Boardroom, which we're in. At the open house, we will be discussing potential uses for the property and would welcome and value your input. Community-wide mosquito spraying. The community-wide mosquito spraying is tentatively scheduled to take place on or before Labor Day weekend after sunset, weather permitting. This is the fourth community-wide spraying this summer. Once an exact date is determined, it will be posted on the village's website. Residents can receive advance notice of spraying events by contacting Clark directly by signing up through their mosquito hotline at 1-800-942-2555 and asking to be added to the partner notification list for the Village of Homer Glen. Residents will be asked to provide their name, address, and phone number, and this will allow them to receive a phone call from Clark the day of the village-wide spray. Larvicide control and treatment and drainage of detention basins is reoccurring throughout the summer months, in addition to the 4-monthly community-wide sprayings between June and September. Household hazardous waste drop-off event. Village of Homer Glen and the Will County Land Use Department are co-sponsoring a household hazardous waste drop-off here at the Village Hall on Saturday, September 24th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. This event is open to Will County residents only. Please visit the Village website for more information and a list of accepted items. That's my report. Next we'll go to the trustees. Start with Trustee Sweet.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting for the Homer Harvest Days Committee. As a reminder, Homer Harvest Days will be taking place on September 10 and 11 at the Trantina Farm. There will be new activities, new demonstrators, along with entertainment, free pony rides, history reenactors, craft vendors, hay rides, food, and fun for all ages. The committee is seeking volunteers for pre- and post setup as well as during the event. Please contact the Township office at 708-301-0522 or visit the website at homerharvestdays.com for more information. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Sweet. Trustee Turkey.
I have nothing here, Mayor.
Thank you.
No report this evening, Mayor.
So, is there a treasurer's report?
Yes, Mayor, I have the Treasurer's Report of Cash and Investments at July 31st, 2016. It's the end of our first quarter. for fiscal 17 shows the general fund with cash and investments of $5,213,454.35. The special event fund had a balance of $97,244.35. The environmental fund had a balance of $65,315.16. Motor fuel tax fund had a balance of $3,188,639.90. The park and recreation fund had a cash and investment balance of $2,591,168.35. It does not include the July local MFT tax, which came in the first week of August. That amount was approximately $57,000. The debt service fund had a cash and investment balance of $1,710,432.54. Capital project fund had a cash and investment balance of $1,835,003.68. The EAB tree replacement fund had a balance of $454,319.11, and the last fund, the capital project bond fund, had a balance of $15,096,859.09, for a grand total, all funds, balance of $30,252,436.53. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Village clerk, there won't be a report. Village attorney.
No report, Your Honor.
Public safety official. How was your trip? Village manager.
Just a brief update, the Chipotle Starbucks is coming along nicely. We should have build out of the shell by mid-October, and then internal build out will move on from there.
Good. Yeah, I can see it's coming together very quickly. So, a lot of people are ahead of you. With that, we have public comment. If you could please see if you can get it done in 3 minutes. If not, we are patient. Tim O'Mara.
Good evening, council members. My name is Tim O'Mara. I reside at 15951 West Shady Lane, Homer Glen, Illinois. I come to you tonight to ask your assistance in an ongoing problem that we're having on Gower Road. I've talked to everybody that I've been told to talk to in the sequence. I was at the safety committee meeting last month. I was told to come here. The problem that's coming on is the warehousing district that Lockport put in on the 51st. There's been an untold amount of truck traffic, trailer traffic coming down Gower Road between 159th and 151st going into that facility. I have talked to Lieutenant Counselor, has been the bright star in this whole thing. He did more than 30 minutes over 2.5 months to try and get somebody out there to get the trucks off that road after the temporary use of that road had been lifted due to ongoing concerns because they didn't put the street light in at 143rd. I went and talked with Lockport at their meeting last week. Really haven't gotten anything concrete from them what they're going to do to get these trucks off the road. My problem being is I know a cabin on Gower and Shady Lane, if you've ever been down Gower. When you crest that hill, coming off of 159th, from the time you crest that hill till you realize that there's an entrance from Subdivision there's 280 feet. Okay, I've put a timing box in front of my house, and I've timed tractor trailers doing 55 miles an hour coming over the top of that hill. Okay, if you do the math, it's real easy. He's traveling at 75 feet a second. He'll cover 150 feet before he even starts to apply brakes. He's going to need 300 feet to stop that trailer. We've had 2 near misses from people trying to exit my subdivision already, trying to get out on the Gower Road. Okay? The big thing, the problem is, and again, it's not necessarily your problem, but I'm hoping you can put pressure on Lockport from one government entity to another. At the start of the school district, 3 times a day, I had a bus stop dead cold at the bottom of that hill. And if you do the math, he's going to come up about 160 feet short from stopping that tractor trailer. If we get one of these guys on the tail end of a run, he's been driving for 12 hours, I got another mile to go and I can take a break, get something to eat, and take a nap, If they catch that light at 159th and they're jamming through gears, again, nobody is doing 30 miles an hour. The vast majority of them are doing 40 to 45, and I've clocked them as high as 55 coming down that hill. So I'm asking for your help and to go into Lockport saying, we need to get this handled down before we have a tragedy. Okay? They've got one warehouse that's fully operational. They're loading in another warehouse right now, and they're moving dirt on the third one. And again, that was a temporary situation, but these truckers continue to use that route. So either, and again, when I talked to Lockport, they were talking about, well, we have all these governmental agreements. I said, you need to go to the guys that are in these warehouses and tell them to get it out to all their customers that are coming in. The rules were set when that place was put in, that all the truck traffic would come in off of 143rd. That's not happening. So again, before a school bus gets creamed at the bottom of this hill with all these school kids, and it's going to happen. If we don't get these trucks off, and again, I'm looking for enforcement. Mike DeVivo has been real good about getting all the new signs up. Lockport put up a whole bunch of new signs. Guess what? They're not obeying the signs. And it seems like nobody wants, other than Lieutenant Conser, nobody wants to go to the enforcement effort. Okay? Reading the sign and disobeying the sign with no consequences means nothing. They'll continue to do it. But when a driver, if it's an independent driver, he's driven for half the day to get there, and he gets a ticket, a speeding ticket on top of an overweight ticket, he just drove for free that day. I'll bet you dollars to a donut, he'll never come down that street again. He'll go in the right way. So I'm asking you as a government entity, I've already talked to Lockport, nothing came out concrete from them, what they're going to do. I said, initially I was told they don't have jurisdiction on Gower Road. So I asked him, I said, okay, so I can pass one of your officers doing 70, drinking beer, talking to my cell phone, and whipping in my driveway, and he's got nothing he can do to me. And nobody would answer that question. I bet, again, if I did that to a Lockport squad as he was coming down Gower, he'd be pulling me down pretty quickly. So again, is there anything as a government entity, the Village of Homer Glen, the street is basically with the possible annexation of the food property or pre-annexation, I would assume you guys would have some sort of jurisdiction. Like I said, Lieutenant Conser did more than 30 minutes than 2.5 months of talking to everybody else. He's going to be leaving to go to take over the courthouse. I'll be meeting with his. But again, there's only limited assets. I understand that. But I think we need to put pressure on Lockport to take the lead in this. We can only point to them. We have no say-so in putting in that warehouse facility. And I told them, the rules were, it was 143rd. That's why nobody down in my subdivision was worried about it. We'll all be coming in off 143rd truck route. It's not happening. So again, I'm asking for your help in contacting Lockport and keeping the pressure on them to get some enforcement efforts out there to get this taken care of before we have 2 more operational warehouses. And the last time I did an audit, last time I felt like wasting a day and sitting on my front porch with nice tea, I had 42 trucks come down Gower Road with a 20% return rate. So they went down, saw the signs once, turned around, Lockport put up the new signs, all traffic must go this way, and they came right back up the other way again. So again, whatever you can do for me, I would appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Wayne Fairbrother?
I'm Wayne Fairbrother, 14459 Colton Call Drive, Homer Glen. You mentioned, Mayor, the meeting room next door. We had our first, we got the email about making reservations for that room. And after reading 7 full pages of instructions on how to make a reservation, we noticed we needed a $150 refundable deposit check and a certificate of insurance naming the Homer Glen as an official named insured. I just think it's a bit onerous on some organizations to have that requirement for a meeting room. We've met for years at the Old Town Hall, and Homer Township doesn't require any checks, doesn't require any certificates of deposit. We pick up a key, we have a meeting, we drop our key off. So I just think that our association thinks that it's a bit onerous for that requirement. The second item I'll talk about, I'm president and tonight the spokesman for the Dawnwood Homeowner Association, and we support the petitioners in legislative item I-1 for the building of 2 homes within the Dawnwood subdivision. As an association, we also require that the builders submit plans to us, and although we're not architects or anything, we do pass judgment on the design and also layout on on the lot. Those two plans were submitted to us, we approved them some months ago, and we fully support the petitioners tonight in legislative item I-1.
Thank you, Wayne. Wayne, can you hold on for a second?
Sir, this public comment is not a back and forth, but as long as you're up there, I do want to ask you to verify when you say the homeowners association, are you saying the homeowners, all the homeowners, or are you talking just about the board?
The board, that's right.
Okay.
The board.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify if that was everybody in the Dawnwood or the board.
Trying to get everybody to agree on anything is impossible.
Well, that's why I'm
It's a board, it's a board of,
Thank you, Wayne.
George Diamond?
Oh, I live at 135 59 Parkland Court, and I'm here to kind of disapprove of the building of the new homes that are supposed to be built right behind my home. I've only lived there about a month. I was never informed that those lots were for sale or somebody's going to build a home. Nobody had contacted us. You know, we bought the home, and all of a sudden now we see flags going up. And I agree that they're allowed to build homes on those lots. My disapproval is they shouldn't be able to be built any bigger than the codes that were enforced. When they handed me this, when I moved in, they handed me this big book of papers for what you can't do in the subdivision in Dawnwood. And now all of a sudden, I'm there now less than about a month, and now they're telling us, well, they can build a bigger home, they're going to use up so much more of the lot, they're going to be right on top of me. I'm just here to disapprove that. And I don't know what else I can say as far as what you people can do to just help stop that. The reason why I think those lots haven't been built on, they are too small. So they need to go bigger and move back on those lots, and that's going to affect my home. I'm just here to, disapprove of that. And the other thing is, like Wayne just said, I didn't know, I talked to all my neighbors, and nobody knew this was happening. I talked to all my neighbors, nobody knew that these homes are going to be built and take up more of the lot size. That's all I can say, and hope you people can help us out. Thank you.
There were no notifications sent out to all the surrounding.
Yes, within 250 feet, certified letters.
Well, we'll look into this. Cheryl Diamond, did you want to?
Hi. I just don't want to be repetitive with my husband. And the only reason I'm here is because I just wanted to express our concern, because I did get approached by Sharon, your trustee over there, and she physically saw everything that we were talking about regarding the property immediately behind me. I do confirm that being a new homeowner, being there less than a month's time, that in the case, if I would have been informed what was going on, I think it would have had a big forbearance on me purchasing the home. Therefore, I think in order to make an important decision like that, maybe perhaps someone should go out and visit and see exactly how small and how unbuildable that property is unless you really take the home and push it back, and therefore it would allow it to be that only within a 5-foot difference from the edge of the lot line as to the size home that they want to put on there. So that home would be up to 5 feet from the edge of the property line. And so I just want to confirm that, and thank you for your time.
Are there covenants in Dawnwood?
Yes, there are, sir. Would you like to see them?
Yes.
Okay. I know I was handed these when I bought the home, and it indicates in there everything that needs to be conformed to. Initially, when they set out to build this, I believe it was all to be a townhome development, and it will explain it in there.
Mike, do we have a copy of these?
I believe you do, and they're available, they're recorded documents, so we can pull them off the Will County Recorder's website.
Okay.
If you can. Thank you. Okay.
Adams, Gas, Renica? No, I didn't kill that name.
Hello, my name is Adam Gashinka. I live on 4452. I tried to build a house right next to me where I live, using the model wherever is the subdivision, and affecting the property lines. I even shrink the house smaller to make sure that it's even with how the other houses in the subdivision. I am not doing anything what everybody did this subdivision. I own this lot for 13 years, and now it's time I try to pay so many years of taxes and association and try to get it done, move it in, and get it over. I'm not doing anything else what's done before. And please let me hold it, let me go through this. Thank you.
All right. Next thing in my minutes. No, I'm looking for the name. All right. Looks like Janina Slobin.
Good evening. My name is Anna Spears and I'm an attorney representing Janina. Janina has a little trouble speaking English, so I'm going to be speaking on her behalf. Janina is the second lot 54 owner, and she's seeking the variance to exceed the allowable current zoning ordinance coverage area for her house. And in accordance with your ordinance, you're required to make findings whether this variance would be, whether the establishment that's seeking to be built and maintenance and operation will not be detrimental to the public safety or health. It's a single family house. It's not going to be anything different that already exists in the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, there's two lots, are the only two lots remaining that have not been built on yet. I appreciate Mr. and Mrs. Diamond's comment that when they moved into the neighborhood, they didn't think anything's going to be built on it, but that it doesn't pertain here. As much as I can appreciate that from my personal point of view, Janina and Mr. Goshenita are owners of those lots. Those are buildable lots, and some type of a structure is going to be built on those lots, and it's only a matter of size. So they are going to be looking at the construction. They are going to be looking at the traffic associated with the construction. It's just a matter of size. What is a little different, well actually it's not different at all. Those houses are not going to be different at all than the remaining houses in the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, when those houses that are currently in existence were built, there was no zoning ordinance required on limiting the house size, the coverage size to 40%. There's plenty of houses that have a coverage in excess of 80 or even 90%. So what we are seeking to do is just to build the houses that are similar in size to the ones that are already existing in the subdivision. Is that the second, if I may just put my glasses on. The second requirement or second finding that you have to do is that the proposed use and proposed location will not have undue and substantial adverse effect on the rest of the homeowners in this particular subdivision. And it's not. It's going to be a built new house. It's going to bring, if any, the property's values up for all other remaining homeowners. Having two unbuildable lots is actually not good for anybody. It's unused space. You're not collecting adequate amount of taxes for those properties, and those are actually an eyesore because nobody maintains them at this time. So when you're going to have two additional members of the community who are going to be participating and leading the members of the community, that's actually very good for remaining homeowners. The special use will not be interest or to enjoyment of other property owners. It's not, it's a single family house. The size is not gonna make any difference. Whether it's a small house or a bigger house, absolutely does not affect other homeowners as far as their enjoyment of the property. The proposed use at the particular location is desired to provide a service or facility in the interest of public convenience. It's the same house. Again, this is nothing that's disadvantaged to the rest of the community. Proposed use in general is suitable for particular zoning. It is. This is zoned for the residential properties. This is going to be a residential property. It's going to be a single family home. Because of how the lot is shaped, why are we going over this 40% is because of how narrow the lot is. The house is going to be a little longer and more narrow. So the driveway, which affects actually percentage, because the coverage includes the house and the attached driveway, the driveway is going to have to be a little longer. But we are staying still within building lines. We adhere to all the building codes, and we're going to be substantially far from the actually border of the property to qualify, to not to have any problems with any zoning building codes, any runoff waters or any of that. All of those issues have been addressed by the structural engineers, and all the permits and the drawing have been obtained. So actually the house has been designed and by the same architect and the same engineer, structural engineer, which designed all of the other houses in that subdivision. So the exterior architectural appeal, as one of the findings here, is exactly the same. This is exactly the same house with minor modification as any other house in the subdivision. The adequate utilities, access to road, drainage, all of those have been addressed. That we're not going to be using any more roads because we're building a bigger house. It's a still single family house. We're not trying to make a motel over there. There is not going to be increased traffic because of that. It's single family home. What we're trying to, because we are building so much later than everybody else, we're trying to make more modern house. We're trying to appeal to the families right now and what we're looking for in the house. So that's why we are seeking the variance. The plans have been submitted to you, and there is nothing unusual. We don't have 10 living rooms, and we're not building a huge monstrosity here. It's that the house is just more narrow, and because of that, the percentages are being affected here. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn McGarry.
Hello, Glen McGarry here for the Homer Glen Area Chamber of Commerce. Just to remind you, our movie night's tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Ruff's Feathers. Movie at dusk. There'll be food and drink available. It should be a good time, and I hope you come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, that's it for public comments. Going into legislation and action items. First one we have is what we're talking about. I need a motion to approve ordinance number 16-035, an ordinance approving an amendment to a special use permit for the Dawnwood Subdivision Plan Unit Development for a major change in the plan development to grant variances for lot 52, which would be 14456 South Provincial Drive, to increase the allowable maximum lot coverage from 40% to 50%, and to increase allowable maximum impervious surface coverage from 40% to 56%, and to grant variances for lot 54, which address would be 14448 South Provincial Drive, to increase the allowable maximum lot coverage from 40% to 50%, and to increase the allowable maximum impervious surface coverage from 40 to 57%. for the proposed detached single-family residences on each respective lot. Attachment 1, Table 1B, site structure bulk requirements for residential districts of Chapter 220 zoning of the Code of the Village Hall, or the Village of Homer Glen, Gasuka Slavi case HG 1620-S.
So,
Okay, that will be trustee Varian.
I'll second.
Trustee Swees. Discussion.
I just want to say up front that I do apologize, but I just received my packet. Sorry. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Not used to this yet, sorry. That I wanted to apologize that I'm just receiving my packet as of today, so I was not abreast of this, what was going on. I had a very tragic loss, so I'm sorry that I did not get to read into this. I'm probably going to abstain from this at the time, until I can get further information.
I do have a
Trustee Swees.
On these pictures, was it determined what the pink flags, verify that the pink flags were actually those lot line?
Yes, after you contacted me, I reached out to the petitioner, Adam, and he confirmed that the pink flags do indicate the lot lines.
Okay, and how close, because we haven't, I know the plan commission was looking at the actual diagrams of the house, and I cannot read the small diagrams in my packet. How close is this building to that lot line? What is the minimum required? Because we're not doing a variance on that, is that correct?
That is correct. I believe they're 5 feet on either side.
So you mean, okay, so the pictures where I see these flags that currently actually cut into somebody else's landscaping and trees, so their house is going to, that's the lot line, and that building is going to be 5 feet away from that flag, is that correct?
It may not be exactly from those particular flags, but it will be 5 feet from the line connecting those flags.
Okay, yeah, and that is my concern. I am in agreement with building those lots. I'm not in agreement with the size of that, if it's going to be that close to those houses.
I would like to say that
it's almost, go ahead.
on the plat of re-subdivision for this subdivision, it was stated that buildings did not need to be more than 5 feet from the property line. So they are technically building in consistency with the rest of the single-family homes in the subdivision.
Okay, because I did not see anything that close, even though we're driving through. And of course, nowadays, this subdivision would never have been approved. This was done in the 90s before we were even a village.
That is correct.
If I could just ask, how many square feet are you building? How many of this is a home? Just roughly.
This house is going to be about 2,600.
2,600?
Yes.
Because looking at the aerial view of the subdivision, I mean, it looks like there's large homes throughout that whole block, and we don't know the exact accuracy of the lines that are shown on our aerial. But even if you would center those lines between the buildings, it looks like most of the houses are about 5 feet off the line. They're pretty large homes on smaller lots. We have the spreadsheet here of what you gave us, and there are homes that are close to this house, and to be honest with you, when you go from 47 to 50%, 3%, it is to us maybe a lot, but when you figure how many inches that might be, I'm concerned a little bit about the 5-foot area from the lot line, but if that's what the ordinance says, and again, looking at the houses on the whole block, it looks like they're very close to each other on the sides. And in fact, not much yard there. So, and again, that's what you want, that's great. A lot of people, they want a beautiful home and a nice yard, and they do have that, so.
I would just like to state that the
chart that I left on each of your places at the dais of lot coverage and impervious surface coverage. This is for every single-family residence in the Dawnwood subdivision. I put NA for most of the impervious surface coverage because I didn't want to guesstimate driveways and patios and those sorts of things. And the lot coverage calculation only includes the foundation of the house. It does not include the driveway, which is typically included in our lot coverage calculations. So there are some lots, as you can see on the table, that are, perhaps 56% is just the house.
I guess I would concur with Trustee Costa on this, that I think we all agree this is far from optimal. But this is, I've driven that neighborhood, I looked at these lots, they're very narrow, they're pie-shaped, but I didn't see anything that was all that different from what is a fairly, not even fairly, a very dense development. And so I think for some of the reasons that Trustee Costa just said, it's not optimal, but I think it's a situation where these plans more than not fit what has already been built and approved in that area, whether we approved it or not. So I think I would be supportive for those reasons.
Can I ask a question? Is anyone here from 14444, which is one of the residents on the other side?
Looking at the lot coverage, and those will be the last two that are going to be built in that subdivision, and you have 57% proposed for impervious and 56 proposed. When I'm looking at some of these houses that are in here, they're actually outside the boundaries of their limits, if that blue line is what it's supposed to be conforming to.
The aerial is a tiny bit misleading because these parcel lines aren't meant to be put exactly on the air photo. It's a little skewed, but I would have to imagine that some of these where it looks like an entire patio is across the parcel line, that it may be.
Pretty much what all three trustees have spoken so far. It does, well, I know what you're going. I'm looking at lot number 54 and lot 52. I look at lot number 51 next to it, and there's not much room in that one. And lot 55, not much room in that one. And then if you look on the other side and count it out, looking at lot number 30, 27, 31, 35, 43, 47, and 45. There's hardly anything left. It's all house. Unfortunately, this was approved when we were in the village, because if this was built now, this would not be approved. And I can't see punishing two people who have had the lots, as you said, for 14, 15 years, to let them build pretty much what everyone else has built in here. So I would have to agree that I would approve this.
Mayor, just can I clarify one thing with Karen? I just want to make sure I have one thing right. On the lot coverage on the spreadsheet that we have in front of us, on the estimated lot coverages of all the various lots, they go anywhere from, looks like 30 to 57%. You're saying these estimates are without including the driveways, correct?
Correct. I just used, Will County has a building shapefile for GIS, and I just used that to estimate what the approximate foundation square footage is. So this is just based on that.
And so if we added in the driveways on all of these and did it from a very technical perspective,
it would be more.
It would be more than what's listed on the sheet.
Correct.
The 50% that's proposed on both of these lots
includes the driveway.
The driveway. Okay.
So it's actually less. So, all right. Are there any more?
For Karen. Okay, because I know there was some concern about how the length of the extension. So when I'm looking at the aerial,
Yes.
the house is not going to extend further back. So if somebody's standing in the back of these two houses on either side, it's going to match up. It's going to be even with that. It's not going to be extending out to more of a,
No, these houses are being built within the lot lines.
okay.
Mayor, just one last comment. I think specifically to Mr. and Mrs. Diamond, I certainly am sympathetic. If I lived in the area and I had an open lot near me or next to me, I think I'd feel very much the same way. I think this is just the difficult part of maybe what we do and decide. There's good points on both sides of this. And this is when I think maybe we feel more like a judge than when you have to weigh, good valid points on both sides. But at some point, I have to step back and think about what's government's role in this. And I just don't think these are all that different. You've got two taxpayers that have been paying on these lots and paying the property taxes. And so I just certainly mindful of Mr. and Mrs. Diamond, their comments earlier.
And I agree with you. But at the same token, when you take it that the proposed 50%, you've got one lot number 45, that's at 56.3 without impervious coverage. And then when you start looking at the pictures and showing what the decks are, it looks like a hot tub in the one, looks like actually a hot tub in a couple of them. And I know this might be not read exactly the way it's supposed to be, but they're extending outside of it. Mr. Diamond, which lot is yours? Lot.
I apologize, I don't believe I know the lot number.
Just the address.
But I do know the address.
Okay.
13559 Parkland.
All right, yeah. You're behind these houses. Yes, well, they're actually in front of them, but their backyard, the face of the backyard of these two houses are about.
And again, we are not in any way, shape, or form. Oh, okay. Disagreeing with progress and allowing a home to be built. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not argumentative. And believe me, I know it's improper for me to not expect that a building should be put there. I think my main concern that I appeared here, as well as the meeting the night before, was that I think that it should remain within the sizing that was originally given, only for the reason because if me as a homeowner were to go to the homeowners association right now, and as buying my home within a short period of time, as I discussed, I'm still emptying boxes. I, at this point, am looking at getting an approval for a deck in the future. I do not have a deck at the back, anything like that. I will have to conform with what the board will approve on that deck. Meaning size-wise, meaning what they're going to approve me to do. I just feel if all of us have to follow a rule and regulations, that's why I read that, that's why I was holding it in my hand. As a new homeowner, that was given to me at closing, and I'm only trying to conform with something that was handed to me. If I receive a set of rules, I feel it should be conformed to. And that was the only reason I have no, objection. They purchased the lot. They should have the ability to build. I have none whatsoever a reservation about that. And I just wanted to make sure that you agree with that. That is what I'm trying to stress here. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I don't understand what you're saying, but if you have a lot coverage sheet in front of you, at the 50%, lot number 45 is at 56.3 without the driveway and without all the decking that they have in the back. So that could actually be more than 57%, that could be 60%, that could be more than 60%. So it does kind of fall in line here. Karen will show you what we're talking about there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It'll show you that basically everything that's going in there, from the smallest to the largest, is all within the regs of the building. They're staying within the lines.
And that will, and again, I think it's just the main thing that we want to stress here is that is strictly the foundation that they're discussing. They're not discussing what type of a deck they're going to adhere in the back. Again, we put my deck up, which is not existing. We put their deck behind a home that is that much bigger. Will we be able to wave right across and say, hey, what you having for dinner? That is my only objection. I have no plans in mind for what I'm going to put behind my home. But again, I just feel that in order to make everyone happy, it should be, if you set rules, it should be agreeable to every homeowner. And as to the point that everyone was consulted or received a letter, I did consult with all of my neighbors that would have been in that 250 parameter, and none of them, beside myself, I did receive a certified letter. I will not deny that. But when I went to my immediate neighbor on my side, which is on Parkland Court right next to me, they received nothing. Also, the two townhomes immediately addressed across, they also are within that 250 circumference. They did not receive anything either. As well as the gentleman immediately next door to the lot behind me, which is like kitty corner from me. They did not even, and that is the home immediately next to the property in question. They did not receive that either. So I just wanted to bring that forth. I'm just speaking on behalf of myself as well as those that maybe didn't have the opportunity to be aware. I'll be able to express their opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Sure.
I just want to let the board know that I did receive all the white receipts from the petitioners, and they did mail out the letters to everyone that I gave them the list for. We do send them to the property owners. We don't necessarily send them to the address. So if the property owner is different from the people who are living there, it possibly could be because of that, but I received all the white receipts that they fill out when they do the certified mailing, and it matched up with my list.
So that means that some of the buildings that you mentioned could be rented. If they're rented, it doesn't go to them, it goes to the owner.
That's very possible, because like I said, I don't know a lot of people. So I only spoke to my immediate neighbor on Parkland. I spoke with the two people across the street from me, and I also spoke with the gentleman kitty corner from me. That is the only people, in fact, that the gentleman kitty corner from me, which is the one immediately next door to the lot in question, I only met him when I was walking out on the property. So I don't know these people, so I'm too new. Thank you. Okay.
Karen, just to verify, thank you for the new chart, that helps a lot. But when I see lot coverage, just to verify, everything I see in percentages there is without sidewalk?
It's without driveways. Sidewalks are only included in impervious surface coverage calculations.
Okay. So really, what they're proposing in 54 and 52 is pretty much in line with a lot of the others here.
Because driveways are included in those two calculations for the petitioners, whereas the rest of them do not include driveways.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Sweets?
Aye.
Trustee Nitzke?
And I'm saying,
Trustee Brand?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor?
Aye. So motion carries. You can Mike, do you have to say anything else going for, they just have to come in the building?
The permits are in-house for review right now, so with your vote tonight, we're able to sign off on those permits.
And you're all set? Thank you. Okay. Number 2, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 16-036, an ordinance authorizing the adjustment of traffic control devices, speed limit signs on 139th Street west of Lemont Road, reducing the speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour? So moved. Trustee Costa.
Now second.
Trustee Sweet. Discussion. I have a little bit to add to it. No one has anything to say on it. Unfortunately, the street that we're talking about right now, with the traffic that does go up and down the street, before the road work started, they had it bad because they've been coming, I don't want to say, at least 5 years they've been coming before the safety committee. Now we're in a position to where we're going to be lowering down the speed limit, but we also do have the speed bumps and bumps, and it's just not a residential road. I mean, with everyone doing the driving through because of the construction on Archer Avenue, this would be a perfect place to put them out. Unfortunately, there's some noise from the sound of it, but put them out. That'll be used to get the people back on the road who's supposed to be in the first place, because I've been down there. I've known you for since I was a trustee. I do have a friend that actually lives on the street too, and he says it is bad. You go 55, 60 miles an hour on the street. It's a residential street. So I would like the board to, if we're going to do this, also include the trial of speed bumps and humps in that intersection. Probably a bit along here. There's a couple other areas in the community that we should be right into, and I hope we get on the right way. We will. This would be a perfect example, because this is supposedly, in the eyes of, I guess, IDOT, it's a residential road, when it shouldn't. It's way too busy.
So we can do that administratively. We don't need to amend the motion to do that, though, right?
We have to amend the motion because now it's strictly full speed limit. We have to add anything for it.
Where you at?
Well, what it is right now is we're going to take it from 30, bring it down to 25. And all that's all they plan on doing is the signage work now. What I'd like to do is, we have some speed bumps here. We want to try them in a few places. This I think will be a great place to put it in the first place. It's a short street, so you can do it to where you actually get a true idea of what's going on with this.
Yeah.
Using speed, that would be administrative. You wouldn't have to add any words to that.
Yeah, so I agree. My question was just if we had to amend the motion to make it official, or if we just do that administratively.
Because we have 3 places that have come forward for a long time. We've got Derby.
Excuse me, George, 1 second. The people in the back can't hear you say.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've got Derby, Crystal Tree, and now your street. So I think that it would be a good shot, especially with your street, because it's a short one. So this way we have an idea of what it's going to do, what the noise is going to be, because that's the other thing that we have to start explaining to the other subdivisions that want this. If you put it out there, like I said before, you're going to hear a lot of noise. How much, we honestly don't know. I would think the faster they're going, the more noise you're going to hear, especially if they hit this good enough to start turning the suspension off the car. But this way, we get the ball rolling, then move into the other 2 right away and see what we've got. So as long as we've got the okay from the board, then let's go roll. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
This would just be lowering the speed limit from 30 to 25 on 139th Street.
Right, but we can go ahead and do the other without bringing it back. Okay. So with that, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Sweets?
Aye.
Trustee Burriott?
Aye.
Trustee Nietzsche?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Mayor Coach?
Aye. Okay, motion carries. I'll get the signs up for you right away, and then we'll start working on speed bumps for the 3 communities we talked about. Thank you. Next, Village Hall, parking lot ceiling coating. Is there a motion to approve the proposal from Mrs. B Parking Lot Maintenance Inc. for seal coating and striping the northwest parking lot at the Village Hall in the amount of $3,509.47?
I so move.
Trustee Suisse,
I'll second.
trustee Tracy, is there any discussion?
I do have a question on, I know we take the lowest bid, but that bid was, it just said a seal coat. Do we assume that it's the coal tar emulsion pavement sealer? Because it does not state what it is. It just says clean and apply 1 coat of sealer with sand additive. And the other, which is just a couple $100 more, it does give a little bit more detail. I mean, do they all use the same type of sealer?
I didn't see what was clarified, what was set out in the bid?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to use the standard, pretty much the same materials, both companies.
Okay, because then that second bid was, it says right out here, includes 1-year warranty, and there was nothing mentioned on this Mrs. B. And that
We
was,
can get that additional information, but typically all the companies are going to be kind of the same conditions.
well, I'll agree if we can get that, because it's better to have it in writing.
You can get the warranty put on Mrs. B. Any other discussion?
I guess just a question of, Mike, when we reached out to these companies, we reached out to 4 companies, received bids from 2. We submitted something to them in writing, was it phone?
I contacted them by phone.
Pardon me?
I contacted them by phone.
Okay, and so my question on that would be, I think maybe goes to Sharon's question of making sure that we're getting apples to apples on all of this, and I assume that was part of this, but is it maybe better for the reasons we're talking about to do this in writing in the future to make sure that we are getting, that we require 1-year warranty, we require certain seal coating, et cetera, et cetera?
We can certainly do that. Mrs. B's was actually recommended by the highway department that they've done the township facilities.
Any other questions? Okay, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Burden?
Aye.
Trustee Mitzi-Turkey?
Aye.
Mayor Daly?
Aye.
Okay, next is a workshop item. Development Services Director, Lemont, will provide an overview of the status of the Goodings Grove Park project. And just so we do have this on, make sure everyone's on the same page, this is Goodings Grove, not the school.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to kind of give a little bit of a brief summary, Goodings Grove Park, it's located at the northern end of Greystone Drive. Basically, it's behind Home Depot at the northern end of Greystone Drive. This is actually part of the future Goodings Grove Unit 5 subdivision. Initially, there was a smaller park that was proposed. The village had negotiated with the developer to get additional property, so I believe it's about 3.5 acres at this time. In 2013, the village was awarded an OSLA grant from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. The grant amount was in the amount of $341,000. This is a 50-50 grant, so basically the village was responsible for half of that, so basically $170,500. As part of that, the donation from the developer had provided $173,000 in cash as well, which the village was ultimately going to use as part of the, basically to pay for our portion of the grant funding. As most of you know, with the state of the Illinois budget, or lack thereof a budget, the grant projects were put on hold by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources in kind of early to mid 2015. In 2016, in April of 2016, the village did receive a letter from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, which basically stated that yes, the projects have been put on hold. If you want to proceed with the project, you can go ahead and in a sense do it at your own risk, in the sense that If the grant funding is ultimately released, then the village will be reimbursed for the grant that it was actually awarded. But if for some reason the grant funding is not released, then the village would be responsible for the entire funding of the project. One couple of the things, the one thing to consider as part of the project is access to the park at this time. Right now, Greystone Drive doesn't quite extend fully up to the park, so as part of the project, we would ultimately have to do probably some kind of a temporary access to access drive, or potentially extend the road a small portion in order to get to the actual park property. And based on the engineering that's been done, and basically the engineering is approximately 85% complete for the project. So we are pretty close to an actual final bid document that could be put out for bid. It wouldn't take very long. Most likely, if we were to complete the projects, it's very unlikely that there would be enough time this year to build it. So it would be something most likely that would be a spring project for next year. So just, with the extension of the road and some additional items that were not originally included in the grant itself, there are some additional costs, approximately 80,000 plus, the potential for the roadway extension that would need to be considered as part of those costs as well. So
80 or 80?
80.
So make sure you remember. Are there any comments?
Mike, when I know the state stopped the funding, is there a deadline that this would be reinstated if the funding comes available? In other words, in 5 years, if they release the funds, hopefully it's way before that, would we still be eligible to receive the matching grant, or is it wiped out after a certain amount of time?
I don't believe that there was any kind of stipulation in the letter that said there was a time frame. It really just said, if they're released in the future, then the village would get reimbursed.
Mayor, one comment on that. I know we talked about this at the last meeting, about making it a workshop item, and talked about that there was a stopgap budget, when the 6-month budget was passed, and investigate whether this was included in that stopgap budget. I've been working and trying to figure out if it was included in that budget and certify that it is, not just it may be, it may not be. A stopgap budget was approved. And so I've been trying to get this done, and just this evening, prior to walking in here, I got a phone call that it is in the stopgap budget. Line item, this project is part of the OSLAD funding. It is approved and the money is coming. So that is certified and that is part of that budget. This project specifically, which I think in this area is only one of 2 projects that is getting that. So it's not only just on a spreadsheet, it is the money is coming. It's no longer well, if we have a budget, go ahead, risk it. If we never fund it, there may be other projects, OSLAD projects that are still under that. This is a project that was part of that stopgap budget, and it is coming. Timeline on that, no one's sure of yet, but we're not talking 2 years. The budget's been approved. So, yeah, and I'm sorry I didn't have that earlier, but it was, again, pushing all day today to try to get that verified and walking in. But I think as part of this discussion, I think we can say, and I wanted to be careful about this and re-verify this, that we can say this, that it's approved, it's in the budget. This project specifically, $170,000 was part of that 6-month budget. So, and I guess the point there is we can take that part of the discussion, I think, off the table of we are getting that money in the foreseeable future, meaning months, not 3 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Thank you, Grant. All right. Any other?
I was just in general, just throwing things out there. If we added things to the park, because it's a big area, the grant is for certain things. that we keep in there, but if we wanted to add things, that's on our own.
Yeah, you can certainly add things. There are minimum things that have to be included because the way that the grants are awarded is on a point basis. So each thing that you include in the original application gives you X amount of points. So basically, that's how the grants are awarded on basically the total of those points. So you certainly can't take anything away that was in the original, but you can certainly add things to it, but then that would be at your own cost. Correct.
Is there, in the parking lot, is the parking, was that part of the grant as well?
No, I believe that was an item that was added afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
Could you please call the roll? Oh, no, motion, it's just it's a workshop, so we know that we can come back and get this approved.
Is this something we think we're going to put on the agenda next meeting? Yeah.
Especially with the great news.
Well, great, yeah, I mean, it's something that, is sorely needed.
This item's in the budget. We still have to finish the drawings, so I'd recommend once we bid it out, and that's when it'll come back before the board.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, with that.
Mayor, I'm sorry, one more thing on that.
Okay.
Just to, I think, to make sure that we recognize that OSLAD grant and approved in that stopgap budget was certainly that project got included in that 6-month budget when many others didn't. I think credit goes to Senator Redonio and Representative Durkin on that. They both made sure that that project was part of the 6-month budget.
We will send something out. All right, is there any new business? Or is there any old business? We're going to adjourn for executive session for right now. Is there a motion going into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel pending litigation and potential